Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Life's a Fight. I'm here with a friend of mine and our next guest, Mahalia Murphy. I want to explain it, but it's not going to be in order. Mahalia is a resilient woman. She's full of personality, full of energy, but she's just a top chick. And I love her energy. I love being in her company. So I'm excited for today. We're going to get into it, but Mahalia, for those of you that don't know, because if you don't know, you're about to know, she played rugby league for Australia. She then went over and played rugby union sevens. She then went and played rugby union 15s. In the midst of all this, she went on a TV show called The Ultimate Tag. She also went on a TV show called SAS. And then she also went on a podcast called Life's a Fight. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let me introduce you to Mahalia Murphy.
Hi guys, hi.
Good to have you here, Mahalia. How you travelling, all right?
Yeah, not too bad. It's great to be here.
Good, hey, good to have you here. You know, I want to say you're looking as fresh as ever. You liking that top?
Loving this top. Loving this design up here. Just worried about my sweat pits that may break through, but that's okay.
The old Brad Pitts. Well, that's the thing when you
like T-Rex.
Hey, don't worry. You know what I mean. We're only
right.
human. We might get a little bit sweaty. Obviously, we might start laughing, crying that much. That the Brad Pitts, they might get a little bit moist, but moist might be the wrong word. But look, let's get started. Obviously, for those that don't know you, let's break down all the walls, all the barriers. You know, you're open to speak about everything. Mahalia, tell us a little bit about yourself as a little girl, a little bit about your childhood.
Yeah, I guess from when I was a little girl, I was just always such an active girl.
Yep.
I would play as much sport as I could.
Yep.
Would always be outside playing on the street.
Yep.
I grew up in Doonside in a little cul-de-sac. So
Yep.
in that cul-de-sac, there was probably like 7 out of 15, 20 houses that had kids my age that went to the same primary school. So we would always go to school together. We would come home and play on the street together, sleepovers. And I'd just get involved with any kind of sport through school that I could.
Were you from a big family?
Family of 5.
Family
and I'm
of
the
5.
baby.
Yeah, you're the baby.
I'm the baby.
You're the golden child.
Yeah. I'd say I'm the golden child. Yeah.
I reckon your brothers and sisters would as well.
Oh, I reckon my brother could be another golden child, but he would say I am.
Fair bit of gold in the family. So tell me, you got brothers, sisters? What's the ratio like?
1 brother, 3 sisters.
1 brother, 3 sisters. And tell us a little bit about your upbringing. Obviously, you grew up in Doonside. You said you've played a fair bit of sport, which you obviously do now. Tell me about that growing up.
Yeah, so I went to Doonside Public School.
Yep.
I'd go to school like every other kid and would, play sport on the Fridays at PWSA, did European handball, did T-ball. And out in the street, we'd always have like touch footy games with our neighbours. My brother would always play with his mates and, I guess it'd just be a lot of street football. I wasn't allowed to play too much because I was always a sook. Because if anyone touched me, I'd lose my shit and just have a big sook that someone touched me and I never scored a try. And then I was told not to play anymore because I was killing the game. But I would just play anything I could. But I think for me, being the youngest, I only have 1 brother as well.
Yeah.
I only got 1 brother and that's why I think he's the golden child as well.
Yeah, fair enough. So you said you were a bit of a sook, but as your friends, looking back at you at that age, how would your friends have described you as little Mahalia?
Oh, probably just full of energy.
Yep.
Very active, happy, bubbly. I think just full of energy, really.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. So you've obviously, which we'll get into shortly, had a great career and there's many more years to come, I believe. You know, you're like a fine wine. Every year I watch you play and I've been watching you. I remember back in the days for the Redfern All Blacks, I was watching on the sideline and you were a winger. You were very fast. Whatever you were, you ran around the edge and I remember saying, gee, she's a gum. Not that long after that, I ended up watching you on TV playing, rugby league for Australia. You know, tell us, when did you get into, obviously, your rugby? Or what made you get into it?
Yeah, so back when I was around 9 years old,
Yep.
one of my neighbours' sons was playing for the Doonside Brews. And halfway through the season, they were like, oh, you should come and play league. Didn't know much about it. I just played a bit of street football. But, went and signed up with Doonside Brews, played half a season, and then had to stop because I was a girl.
What age was this?
Around 9.
9.
Yeah. I think it was in the under 10s that we had to stop.
Yep.
And then, played half a season. Didn't really know how to play the game, just knew you had to run with the ball, score the try, tackle the person with the ball. But I had watched football a lot. Like growing up, my dad is a diehard Rabbitohs fan, and that was forced upon me.
Yeah.
So I'm a big Bunnies fan.
Go girl.
But yeah, I got involved at the age of 9 and then had to stop. And then I had to wait till I was 16, 17 to get back
Did
into
you
the game.
play in an all-girls team, or at that age were you playing with blokes?
You know, there was only me and one other girl with, the rest were all boys.
Because I want to look at the way that the game's changed. Obviously, you would have seen it firsthand years ago, and I remember back when I was a kid as well, they didn't have, at that age, obviously girls teams until you got older. You know, how much do you think the game's changed, obviously, from females at a young age? Do you think a lot more are getting into it?
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Like, I feel like back in the day when, girls had to stop at a certain age, that was the gap. And that's where we lost a lot of girls. Like, they'd go to other sports. So I think, now looking at it, you've got pathways from, young grades through school, through rugby clubs, of all different ages. So there's a genuine pathway now for the younger girls to get involved and be in an all-girls team, which is really cool because I know from experience, like looking back when I played, not so much me, but just observing other girls in other teams, how much they would just stand back and let the boys just do it and wasn't confident enough to actually get involved and run the ball up or call for the ball. So being able to see, an all-girls team now where girls can just develop together and be in an all-girls space, working together as a team, you can see a difference. And
So true.
Yeah, and they're developing.
And you mentioned the word confidence. Confidence is a huge killer to anyone's dream because if you're not confident, you wouldn't be able to get on this podcast. If you're not confident, you wouldn't be able to get on the footy field. So having that confidence there and having good role models like yourself is huge because back then, realistically, who would your role model have been, obviously, to look up to?
Yeah. Well, for me, initially, my role model was Kathy Freeman.
Yeah.
So I just remember, I was very young, 6 years old, but watching the Olympics and I was trying to spot my mum and dad in the crowd and, had the TV on. And I just remember seeing Kathy Freeman win, the race and winning the gold medal and having the Aboriginal flag wrapped around her and just how proud of of a moment that was for her and the impact that it made on me. It made me want to be the next Kathy Freeman. So,
Absolutely.
I never was really devoted to one sport at a young age. I was just playing everything, but people around me knew that like I'd be good at something no matter what it was that I did.
Yeah.
So I was always known to have some kind of athletic ability, but I never really focused on one sport. But when I seen Kathy Freeman, I was like, I want to be the next Kathy Freeman. I want to, train for athletics and be a sprinter and get involved. And that's where it kind of shifted for me to do athletics.
Yep.
And then through primary school was just competing in all the athletics carnivals and bringing home the blue ribbons that we used to have.
Yeah, have you always been fast? Because I'll tell you what, that little motor can get going, can't it?
Yeah. No, I think from a young age I'd always been naturally fast, but I didn't actually really focus on, training for athletics or sprinting until I was in high school.
Yeah.
When I was actually offered, to go to Hill Sports High School for a TSP program, which is a talented sporting program. So, I didn't really get to focus and I wasn't signed up to any, little athletics or anything like that until during high school. So it kind of started really late compared to a lot of people, but mustn't have been too bad because I'm
you're doing
I've
all right.
excelled really quickly, so
Totally.
which has been really cool.
And that you have, especially looking back at obviously what you've achieved already. But when you speak about Kathy Freeman, one thing I will say is she would have been a lot of people's motivation because she got that exposure. Nowadays, women's sport is blossoming, in my opinion, because it is getting a lot better exposure. Now a lot of people might have looked up to Kathy Freeman, but you might humbly decline this, but a lot of young girls would look up to you. I'll tell you something. One of my friends has got daughters. They love the NRLW, and they look up to you as if you're as if you're the next Kathy Freeman. So one thing I want to say is let's talk about yourself. Obviously, growing up, talk about your footy. So you played for Doonside, but where did it really all take off for you?
Yeah, so after high school, I finished and moved away from home and studied policing.
Yep.
Down at South Coast, and then on Friday nights I'd come back on the weekend and watch my sister play rugby union on Saturdays. And I used to run the water.
Yeah.
And there was a game where a lot of the girls didn't turn up for the game and they didn't have any subs. And the coach looked at my mum and said, can Mahalia jump on the wing and just help out the girls? And my mum's like, no way.
Yeah.
She does athletics and she's a sprinter and we don't want her to get injured. And,
What age was this?
17.
17.
And then I just remember my mum being very, pedantic about injuries and didn't want me to get hurt in a tackle. And, yeah, second half happened. And the coach looked at my mum again and goes, please, like, she needs to jump on the field. The girl's buggered. And then mum was like, all right, chuck her on. And then I jumped on the wing. Like I said, didn't know how to play rugby union at this stage. I just knew from watching the team, catch the ball, run, try and, avoid contact, score the ball over the white line under the post, and then tackle the person with the ball. Didn't have any understanding around rucks of rugby union, but yeah, I think I just learnt throughout the season of playing. But yeah, I remember when the ball first came into my hand and I was so nervous. I had tiptoed along the sideline, even though I had about 5 to 8 metres of space to run in. I was like, nah, no one's tackling me today.
Were you still sooky at this stage? So you didn't want to be tackled?
No, I was just more nervous. I was very competitive. That's the thing. Like, I was always so competitive, which is why I think I got really sooky when I was a kid. But when I started playing union, like, I was just very competitive. And I had, just come out of high school training professionally for athletics. So I had some speed behind me. So when I got the ball, I just pinned my ears and tiptoed along the sideline, scored a try, and then I was like, I love this game. So put me in, sign me up. So that's how
they
it
give
started.
you a jersey. So you obviously started with rugby union. When then did you make your way over to rugby league, or were you playing them both at once?
Yeah, so then when I finished my studying, come back home, and then I was like, oh, there's a Doonside girls team, being formed again. And yeah, I would play union on Saturdays and league on Sundays. So I was doing both games on the weekend, and then, pretty much within the space of a year and a half, 2 years, got a call up for, I guess the Indigenous All-Stars.
Yep.
And that's where it kind of really took off.
And how old were you there? How long ago was this?
I would have been about 18, 19.
Yep.
And then I actually played the Career Knockout before that. And I think that's where it really took off because, obviously playing in that comp where it's televised and you have a lot of people that, come together for the game. And, I remember playing in the Career Knockout at Wee Wee for the first time, and then that was where I first got caught up for the Indigenous All-Stars.
Wow.
Yeah,
and that's so good to see. The Career Knockout was just on the weekend. You said you just came back from there, got a bit of colour.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of the talent that you saw running around?
Oh, it was good. Like, I think it's really exciting for the game. I think there's so many untouched talented players out there that I know that could be in the NRL or the NRLW right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope to see a lot of them come through the pathway because I know a lot of them can be there and be playing at that level.
Both men and women, can't they?
Yeah, definitely.
So you then obviously went for the Indigenous All-Stars. Where did your career excel? When was it you made your first Australian team?
Yeah, so it was just after the Indigenous All-Stars because the team that we played for the Indigenous All-Stars was the Australian All-Stars.
Yep.
And the coach for that was the Australian coach, Steve Folkes.
Wow.
So, after the Indigenous All-Stars game, got an invite to the Jillaroos camp and, went to a camp up in Goldie.
Yeah.
Then was told that I'm going to make my debut.
Who for the Australian team?
Yeah, for the Australian Rugby League team, and I couldn't believe it because it just had happened so quick. Like, it was within the space of like a year or two that I was playing the game.
Yeah.
That I had the call up, to play for Indigenous All-Stars, Jillaroos, and then played the Jillaroos in 2015, scored a hat-trick on debut, player of the match, and we defeated New Zealand for the first time in many years.
Wow. So
it was the best debut I could have ever asked for, and it's one of my favourite highlights ever.
Good on you.
And even had my family there to watch, which was awesome.
Yep.
And then about a month after I played the Jillaroos, I had the Australian Rugby Sevens coach contact me and ask if I was interested in going, over to Papua New Guinea for the Pacific Games and going into their training at Narrabeen and preparing for that tournament with them.
Did you ever get a sore shoulder for putting your hand up for all these opportunities?
I had a lot of sweat pits, I suppose, that's for sure.
I can imagine. So then you went over, and the Brad Pitts are all right. There's no sweat leaking through. But yes. I can imagine when you were playing that there would have been plenty on the field. So you went over then to the Australian Rugby Sevens. And how did you find that? You obviously had the pace to burn.
Yeah, it was unreal. It was very intense. Like, it was nothing that I had ever experienced before. I had never really trained at that level. Yeah. Sevens is a very fast-paced game and you've got to be very fit.
Yeah.
And it's a game where it's like it doesn't matter how fit you are, you're still going to feel your legs and lungs.
I can imagine.
And obviously you play, 3 games a day and, you're trying to back it up the next day. So it was very different to what I'm used to. And I just remember going there and just thinking, because I went during pre-season, and I just remember thinking, I am never going to get unfit during my off season and come back and taste my guts like this again, because it was terrible. Like it was so intense, and I just remember, thinking I'm never going to take a break. Like
well, on the 15 man or women, obviously sport, you can sort of hide yourself a little bit more. Yeah, seven aside. Holy moly, it's just a different breed, is it?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, so how long did you play in the sevens for?
2015 to 2020. So
did you go to the Olympics?
No, so I came in the year before the Olympics, and the coach pretty much had his team prepped all ready to go, because there had been girls that had been in this program for years and years and years that deserved to to go to the Olympics. So, but I was in the training squad, obviously, like leading into the Olympics, which is still really cool to say.
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah, so still really proud of that. But yeah, didn't go to the Olympics, but travelled around the world for the World Series circuit.
Good on you. And then you obviously, so from the sevens till 2020, when was it you obviously got back into, rugby union? Was it then 15 aside after that?
Yeah. So I signed back up. I was in league for 2015.
Yep.
Then went straight over to the sevens that same year. And then the next year got asked to go to the World Cup for the Wallaroos, which is the Australian 15s.
Played in the World Cup as well.
Yeah. So I've been to 2 World Cups for the Australian 15s.
Yep.
And the first one was in Ireland in 2017. Cool. So and that was my debut.
Wow.
Yeah.
Any tries on debut?
Yep.
Tell you
sure
what.
Did. Did it. Yep.
Shout out to Garlo's Pies, a few meat pies over here.
Sponsor me.
I'm actually good friends with him, so you just never know. But what do you prefer most? You've played rugby league, you've played rugby union, you've played sevens as well. What do you enjoy the most?
Yeah, look, if you had asked me back in 2016, 17, I would have said league, because I grew up more around league and watched league more and supported league. But I think I learnt to love the game of union more, because it's like you get to contest with the ball so much more.
Yeah.
You don't have to run back 10 metres and do shuttles every 5 phases, You don't have to kick the ball back on the 5th.
Yeah.
You can continuously play until there's an error or a try.
Yep.
So I think I learnt to love the game of union more for being able to contest a lot more. So and I love that. And I feel like it's so much more physical, because
you're a competitor.
Because you can, you can contest with the ball at the ruck as well. You don't have to tackle them, let them up and let them play the ball. Like you can blow someone off the ruck and be like, give me that ball. So I absolutely love union. I love union, and I do miss it. But I think, I had been in union for so long, like from 2015 to, 2022 after the World Cup. So being back at league's been so refreshing for me.
And speaking of being back at league, you're obviously at Parramatta now. Was this your first year back playing rugby league?
No, so I came back 2020 because of COVID.
Yeah.
All our international matches for the sevens were cancelled. So came back to league and played for Dragons.
Yeah.
And then after that season went back to union, and then came back to league last year and played for the Bulldogs in the Harvey Norman comp.
Geez, you'd have a few jerseys at home.
Oh, do you know what? Speaking about jerseys, I've had so many people ask me for my jerseys, but I've never given one jersey away.
Yeah?
So I've got
Is that because of what's lingering around under the pit or not?
Maybe. Just trying to, look out for some people's nostrils.
Yeah. You're very thoughtful like that.
Yeah, I'm considerate.
So you went Dragons, then Bulldogs?
So I played Bulldogs in Harvey Norman, and then went into NRLW with Para last year, and then Para this year.
And let's speak about the NRLW this year. You got selected as captain for the NRLW team.
Yeah.
How good was that when you found that out?
Crazy. I couldn't believe it. It was actually so funny, because when we were about to go into a team meeting, and he said to me up the hall, just wait there a sec. And I was like, yep, all right, no worries. I thought I was in trouble. I was like, what for? I'm in trouble. What did I do now?
Yeah, what did I do now?
He comes out and he's like, oh, hey, just wanted to speak to you, how does captaincy sit with you? And I said, sorry, what was that? And he's like, how does captaincy sit with you? And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, being captain. And I was like, oh, what? And I was just like, I didn't know how to feel, but I was just like so overwhelmed and honoured, and I just couldn't believe it. And I was like, really? Just gobsmacked. But it happened really randomly. But I just felt so honoured, and just, I think the feeling that I got when he asked, I was like, really? Like me?
But
Like,
Mahalia, you say really and being surprised. And let me tell you, from someone outside looking in, it comes to no surprise to anyone. Not only are you a leader on the field, you're a leader off the field. You know, if you had a belt, you'd have more notches off that belt than I've ever seen. Rugby league for Australia, rugby union for Australia, you know, sevens, you know, so you guys had a good year as well. Let's talk about your year. Do you think you went better or worse than expected from the outside looking in?
oh, to be honest, like, I know that we came fifth, but holy, after last season, we came, I think, second last
Yeah.
out of 10 teams. Like, that itself was just gobsmacking. Like,
Yeah.
I was so super proud of the girls, and we played Roosters in the last round, and I said, you know, to the girls before that game, regardless of the result, like, I'm super proud of you all, and I want you all to know that, because the resilience that it's taken our team, the effort that it's taken our team,
Yeah.
not just the players, but the staff as well.
Yeah.
Like, the work that was put in and the trust that they've given, you know, the staff to do all the work
Yeah.
just showed out on the field. And you could just see the difference from last year to this year, like how connected we were on and off the field.
Yeah.
And that's just a testament to, you know, everyone's effort putting
Yeah.
in and investing into, you know.
Who's your
season.
favourite player to play with? I know you probably don't have any favourites, but you secretly probably do. Who's your favourite player to play alongside?
To play alongside. Ooh. Oh. I think it may have just changed recently, just because I feel like one of the players in my team, Abby Church,
Yep.
she's just such a workhorse.
Yep.
She absolutely killed it this season. She's just a player that always tries her best with every run that she does. She's, you know, all for the team. She puts in 110% effort in the gym, on field,
Yep.
off field. Yeah, she's just a great person all around. But yeah, I think Abby Church would probably be one of the best players to play alongside, because she's there for the right reasons. She gives it, you know,
Good on
everything
her.
she's got, and she's there for the team.
And who this year would you say is the toughest player that you've played against, the best player on field that you've played against?
Oh, to play against. Ooh, it was hard.
You can rattle off a couple.
Well, look, I actually didn't have to really defend her this year, but
Yep.
Mele, Hufanga from Broncos,
Yeah.
would have to be one.
Yep.
She's a strong carrier and
Yeah.
she's got some speed.
Yep.
I'd say, yeah, Mele. I would say Anessa Biddle is also
Yep.
a handful from Cronulla Sharks. She's
Yep.
a strong carrier, and she's just,
Is that the centre?
yeah.
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 So those two players, let's say that Nille from the Broncos, I know exactly who you're talking about. Is there much video work or is there much talk before the games, obviously, on shutting her down?
Yeah, well, with it, we always assess, like, the teams. We always, you know, pick out who their, I guess, their strengths are in the team.
Yep.
And we try and figure out how we're actually going to shut them down.
Yep.
And yeah, it's just more about not giving her time,
Yeah.
not giving her any space to wind up, because when she winds up, she's like a steam train, hitting you full speed.
She is, yeah. I wouldn't want to tackle her.
I've only had to tackle her once, and I got her, which was, I was like, yeah, I'm not going high on her.
Yep.
There's no way I'm going high on her. I'm taking her ankles out. And that's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
She'll bump you off.
Oh, yeah. She's very strong.
Let's talk about that, because you obviously started off as a winger. You then moved into the 2-row. How are you finding the change?
I love it. Absolutely love it. Like, when I was playing wing, like, especially when early in my career, like, it was very, you know, hard to get the ball. And then one thing I actually loved in rugby 15s is that they actually use the wingers to kind of come across field.
Yep.
So you actually use a lot more. But as I've gone on and teams have gotten better, we've been able to get the ball to the edges. We've been able to, you know, swing the ball a lot more. So, yeah, for wing, like, I enjoyed it out there, but you're lucky to see the ball,
Absolutely.
you know, at least 4-5 times a game. So
For sure.
second row, I'm kind of pretty much amongst, you know, forwards and backs. So it's like
Yeah.
I'm, you know, having a lot more carries, a lot more involvement in attack and defence. And yeah, I absolutely love it there. So much more involved.
Have you suffered with many injuries? How's your injury run been?
Yeah, I've had a few injuries. I've done both ankles.
Yeah.
Lower back injury's probably been my worst. I've done my shoulder
Yep.
and some phalanges.
Yes, phalanges, yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
I had some nice fingers on there, some nice paws. No good.
Nasty.
We'll get. So let's talk about what would your biggest highlight? You've obviously played some sport be.
My Jillaroos debut,
Yeah,
definitely. Obviously, because that was the first time I ever played for Australia. Scored a hat-trick.
Yeah.
Player of the match. We defeated New Zealand after many years, and I was able to have my family there to watch. And I actually had my only uncle. My mum's only got one brother, and he actually flew up to Brisbane, and he's a person that doesn't like his feet leaving the earth. So
He doesn't like travelling.
no. So he actually came up to Brisbane and watched me. So to have him come from Walgett to Brisbane to watch me play for Australia was amazing, and my auntie as well, my mum and dad, which was unbelievable.
Well, we spoke about Kathy Freeman before, and now you just thinking back to the amount of things in which you have achieved, and there is so many more. I'm sure that you will. A lot of young girls, both Indigenous, white, whatever it may be, will look up to you. To these young girls that are looking to get into some sport, what would some advice be from you to them?
My advice would be to, have fun, take any opportunity that you have, use the support around you to get into, any sport that you want to follow. Also to know that it ain't going to be easy all the time. Like, it's not easy to get to, especially the elite level. But yeah, just get amongst it, take your opportunities, have fun, use the support, and go hard.
I love that. And now you explained what your friends, how they would have described you as a kid. How do you think your best friend would describe you now as a person?
Ooh.
Be honest.
I think he'd call me a dickhead, really.
Yeah, probably
He'd
would.
call me a dickhead.
That's what I was thinking, but I didn't want to say it.
A dickhead in all the good ways.
Yeah. Would you say you're resilient?
He would call, I'm definitely resilient.
Yeah.
Resilient, he'd call me a joker, loving, caring, supportive, genuine, strong.
Yep.
Definitely strong, and a bit of a joker.
I love that
as well.
If we keep pumping those tyres up, I'm worried you're going to go through the roof.
Well, send you then on your way.
But you mentioned the word resilient. Why I say that is you were on a TV show called SAS. For those of you that don't know what the TV show is, it described to them.
It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. It's a Special Forces course that we did over in Jordan in the Middle East, where it was like 37, 38 degrees every day. Wearing track pants, boots, and a 12 to 15 kilo bag, getting told what to do by the DSs that run the course, and not having any control over, the activities or, the challenges that we had to do. But yeah, we would go on base for 10 days and pretty much, get told, do this, do that, run these many kilometres with your backpack on and don't stop. And it was just all sand dunes around us. So we're running in 37, 38 degrees heat with pants, steel cap boots, a bag, up and down all these sand dunes.
Is it as hard as it looks?
Oh, it is brutal.
Yeah.
It is harder than it looks.
Harder than it looks.
Yeah, harder than it looks.
And that's a big call because it looks hard.
And that's the thing. You only seen snippets. So
yeah, gee. What's the experience? What's the experience like?
Look, I was trying to be really present during it, and embracing embracing all the the tough challenges that we had, but still trying to embrace it and connect with everyone that was there and really enjoy it as much as I could, because I knew that we only had 10 days there and it was a competitive environment and, you wanted to get to the end, but there was things that would, physically and mentally challenge you, and it was like just trying to stay in the grind really, but unreal experience and with a whole bunch of amazing people.
You see, some people tapped out first day. How long did you last?
The 9th day out of 10. I think I was 3 challenges away from the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, that's a credit to you. Look, from the sideline, the what do you call the people that run it? They look quite obviously firm on you. Were they like that off camera as well?
Yeah, we didn't get to really speak to them too much away from the course.
Yep.
But like I'd say that like when we were waiting for challenges, so there were certain challenges where we could see what we were doing.
Yeah.
There were certain challenges where we couldn't. So where we couldn't, and we were like tucked away for hours, just waiting for our turn, waiting for our number to be called, the DSs that were there, they would conversate with you. Sometimes, you know, there'd be cameras there as well. And there was times where they weren't there. So you would see the serious side of them a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And then you would see times where they were actually just speaking to you about, you know, sharing stories of their experiences, which were really cool. So we actually didn't get to really connect with them like this too much until we actually ended the course.
What was the biggest challenge on there, the most gruesome thing that you had to put your body and mind through?
I would say either the constant running on sand dunes for kilometres with backpacks.
Yep.
Back to back as well. So we would do a challenge and then we'd do a beasting, which is where you just get punished. And you get told you're running, you know, you got to run to a certain point and you didn't know how long it was actually going to be. They would tell you it'd be, you know, a certain amount of kilometres, and then just to mess with your head a bit, they'd be like, all right, we're going to pick your bags up and go again. And then all of a sudden they'd be like, nope, run to the car.
Yeah.
So there was so much uncertainty.
You never knew what you were
You
going to do.
just never knew what you were going to do.
And when it was going to stop.
Yeah, and when it was going to stop. So you just kind of had to just keep going and keep going and keep going until they told you, all right, you're done. But it was a massive mental game.
Going into that, do you think mentally that helped you much?
Oh, for sure. Like, yeah, I was actually, before I filmed this, I was actually just about to start my pre-season for Bulldogs. So I actually just finished World Cup, and like I mentioned earlier, like when I was in Union and particularly Sevens, after experiencing the first pre-season, I didn't want to take a break.
Yeah.
So I didn't take a break for 6 or 7 years. And then after that World Cup, I was like, I need to have a break. Like I need to have a physical break. I need to have a mental break. I need to just feed my soul with all the food I want to eat. I want to have a, you know, break physically and not train, and train when I want to train. So that's what I did after World Cup. And then I got the call up to do SAS, and I was like, oh, damn. Like I literally just took 2 months off.
Yeah.
You know,
so you weren't in good shape when you went there?
No. So I wasn't in good shape at all. I only had about 2 weeks to prepare for SAS. And I just remember going, just, you know, you fed your soul now, which probably actually put me in a better position to compete. Yeah. Because I think if I didn't have a break, I would have burnt out and pulled out, tapped out, threw the towel in on probably like the first or second day.
Absolutely.
Whereas I fed my soul and I was in a better headspace to actually put myself, you know, in a better position to compete. So, yeah, I went there unfit, thinking I wasn't actually going to get very far because of the lack of training that I actually had going into it. But when I got there, it was a mental game.
Well, it just goes to show that if your mind is strong, your body will follow. And, you know, I always say this, that your mind's the most powerful tool in the body. And if you can get that right, it can take you a lot further than you think.
Love that. I always say where your mind goes, your body follows. So
true.
That is it. Love that.
So true. Yeah. On the show, there were a lot of other big names on there. Was there anyone that you felt you connected with or helped boost you in going that extra step than you thought you couldn't?
Oh, there's no one that I couldn't say didn't. Like, I think for us, like, even the casting crew, like, they couldn't believe how tightly supportive we were of each other. They said it was the best cast that they've ever had because normally, you know, for TV purposes, they like to put different personalities and different backgrounds just to kind of, you know, spice it up. But no one, like, there was no, like, real difference to anyone or, you know, any selfishness or, you know, any drama at all, because everyone just kind of had each other's back. And I think that's what helped me get through as well, and helped a lot of others get through as well, because everyone was very encouraging and would physically help you during a challenge if needed. So, it was, amazing.
It just goes to show that if you have the right people around you, the positive, supportive people around you, how much it actually helps, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I think having their support, even though, you know, they were, you know, the people that we're competing against, they'd still back you and push you and, you know, physically pull you out of the water or along the sand dunes or, you know, whatever it is that we were doing to, you know, make sure that you got through it as well, because it was like an all-in kind of mentality. And just having the right people around you obviously helps you, because when you're in your own head, it can be very daunting.
Very
It can be very challenging. And, sometimes that little voice in your ear is just going to tell you that you can't do it or you don't want to do it and your body wants to give up. But when you have the right people around you that reassure you, that you can do it, just with a little bit of a, support, it changes your whole mindset.
So true. And I've had a fair few fights in my time, both inside and outside the ring, but I think some of the toughest fights I've had have been up here, and speaking about those fights that you would have had up here, there was obviously something on the 9th day that made you tap out of SAS. What was the challenge that made you tap out?
Yeah, so I've had a really bad lower back injury, and it's kind of affected my ability to do a certain amount of running for a certain amount of time, or a certain amount of, depending on the load that I'm doing with training. Like sometimes it restricts my range, sometimes it restricts the amount of, distance that I can run or the amount of weight I can carry.
Yep.
Even just functionally moving, like there are repetitions of getting down to a certain position and then it can be a bit of a nightmare with my back. But I knew before going in there, I said, if anything's going to stop me, it's going to be my back.
You Gary Jack.
Yeah. But I remember feeling it in day 2 because, like I said, we were doing, all these sand dune runs that you didn't really see. We were doing kilometres and kilometres, probably 2 times a day, 3 times a day amongst these challenges that we had. So no one really seen that, but me running on a road, let alone running on sand dunes for, anything over 5 kilometres just irritates my back really bad. And it gets to the point where it just won't allow my knees to drive. It won't allow my, legs to move as much, and it just really stiffens up my hamstrings and glutes, and I just become immobile, just real stiff. So
nothing worse, and especially a show like that or something like that would challenge your body in all these different ways than you could ever imagine.
Well, yeah.
So, but would you do an experience like that again?
Oh, 100%. 100%. It was when I look back at it, there was so much more, good things about it than the pain that I felt.
Yeah.
The friendships that I made, the experience of being able to go there and, meet, Ant Middleton and, all the other DSs and all the competitors that, have, been to the Olympics, or, actors and actresses and, the Bali Princess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to sneeze.
No, let it go. Yeah. One more. You got another one in you?
Nah.
Just let it rip. You got any more? Funny thing with sneezing, my old roommate, he used to do 1 sneeze, but then he'd do about 8. I can't sneeze now, but I've got a bit of a funny sneeze when I sneeze. People say, that's not your sneeze. Yeah. But would you recommend anyone doing, going on a show like that?
Would I recommend?
Or is there anything that you would have done differently?
I think probably prepare a bit more.
Yeah, prepare a bit more.
Yeah, I would have probably trained a bit more to get, a bit more fitter, a bit more stronger. I kind of feel like my mindset was in the right space.
Yep.
But I just felt physically in my lower back back-to-back days of constant running, lifting weight.
Yeah.
All the beastings that we did, lack of sleep, lack of food.
Oh,
there was so much that
if I don't get sleep, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
That would have got you a beauty.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was actually so funny because I know it was only a 10-day course, but I actually feel like I end up getting a little bit of PTSD on after day 2. So the first night they let us sleep, they made us, let us sleep like babies.
Yeah.
Second night they came in. So we figured that at 10 p.m. all the lights would go out. So that was our cue to go to bed.
Yeah.
So we'd go to bed around 10 p.m. and then the day 2, they came in at midnight and smashed down our doors and told us to get out on the parade square. And I just remember feeling my heart just flop out of my chest, and just how terrifying it actually was, because they were screaming, tapping on the door and yelling at us to get out in the parade square, and then we got punished. So every night after that, I was like, oh gosh, are they going to come in and smash our door down again?
Struggle to sleep.
Yeah, so much anticipation. And then when we actually got out of the course, the next night when we went back to the hotel, I was asleep, and I woke up in the morning to hearing someone yelling, and I just remember jumping up on my feet, ready to go before I even actually woke up, before I actually come to realise I was awake.
Your subconscious was just...
Yeah. And I was on my feet and I was like, getting ready. And I looked around and I was like, oh, wait, what the hell? And it was old mate downstairs, the guy the lifesaver that's telling kids not to run because they're going to slip. He's like, oh, don't run. And I could hear this yelling, and I just got up ready, like, to go on the parade square. Because I just was so used to,
How much sleep were you getting a night there?
Oh, it varied. Like, very limited. Sometimes we'd get woken up at 12. So we'd have 2 hours sleep. Then we'd go and have to get dunked in, like, this cold water, get absolutely punished, doing, like, 45 minutes worth of, was what felt like, bear crawls in the sand dunes, and then having to climb monkey bars and doing a certain amount of push-ups and holding a plank for so many minutes and then dunking back in the water. And it was just a punishment. So
you wouldn't know what you were going to do.
Yeah. So then we'd have 2 hours sleep, do something like that. Some nights we'd have 4 hours sleep, then get punished, and then we'd go back to sleep, and then they'd come back in again and tell us we were going to a challenge, and then there was just so much uncertainty. So we had broken sleep consistently.
There's nothing worse.
No.
Have you ever had a pre-season or any sort of training camp that's been similar or as hard as that?
Yeah, recently. Our pre-season for Para. So we went to this place out at Windsor, Richmond, called Del Rio.
Yep.
Which was beautiful, beautiful place, but I can't look at it the same way than when I first arrived, because it wasn't the case when we got there. It was a bit like SAS. We had all these activities that we had to do. We had to do this mountain walk, and that kind of irritated my back, because that's exactly how I got out, was walking up a hill with a certain amount of water. And then we got woken up at 2 a.m. and the girls had to jump in the water at 2 a.m. in the river, cold river, and we got questioned, around parts of our game.
Yep.
And if we got it wrong, we had to go dunk ourselves in the water at 2 a.m. again, and it was freezing during winter. So that kind of, there was that kind of training that we did for our pre-season for Para.
It just goes to show how much that mental side of things actually helps your team. Do you think that your team, the Parramatta Eels, benefited obviously from that training camp?
Yeah, I think in many ways. It definitely brought us together a lot more to work together as a team and really encourage each other as a team. And, people were put out of their comfort zone, which was really cool to see. And I think in those moments it really brought us together, and, that one person that was saying, oh, you've got this, like, we've got this, it'll be all over soon. And just that little bit of reassurance and that positive talk just
it helps a lot.
Yeah, it just
Who's
helps.
the most positive player in your team?
Positive. Ooh. Oh.
One player that lifts another player up.
Oh. Apart from myself, I definitely feel like I'd be that person, but there's a few. There's a few girls that
it does help having that around you, doesn't it?
Yeah, I feel like we've got a really supportive bunch of girls in our squad. So there's a fair few that would always, get around each other and lift each other up. I feel like everyone would. But there's a handful of girls that would do it in the toughest moments.
Which helps.
Always
help. You see, you're obviously a sports star, but now you've become a bit of a reality TV star. So you've gone on SAS, and tell me a little bit about this ultimate tag.
Oh, that show was so fun.
When was it aired?
It was actually during COVID, which is why it was so fun.
Yeah.
It helped me so much through COVID.
Really?
Yeah.
Explain to the people that haven't seen it what it is.
Yeah, so it's a bit like OzTag / parkour on an obstacle course.
Yeah.
So there was different kind of different courses with different aspects. So there was one that was called stealth, and you kind of had to hide. The person had to hide from the characters.
Yeah.
So I was a character. We had contestants. They called me the defender. I was named the defender because they wanted it to relate to football and stuff like that. So I was defender, and we would have a course where it was like you had to hide, and then defender had to come and find you and try and rip your tag off like OzTag.
How good is that?
So then we had one where, there was different kind of courses, and you kind of had to evade them for the longest you could.
Yeah.
And you had to try and tag them as fast as you could. And then there was certain courses where you had to get a certain amount of tags. A lot of, elusive.
Where do these opportunities pop up from? Like, obviously you went on SAS and here. Do you have a manager?
Yeah, so I'm with an agency. So I've been with an agency since I was like 6-7 years old.
Yeah.
And through that agency, I've been on a couple of TV shows. I've been on some ads.
Yeah.
I've had opportunities to go on some movies, but wasn't able to because of my football.
Yeah.
So it's been really fun though. Like, I still get opportunities and stuff.
You're a gift
so.
that keeps on giving. Obviously, a couple of shows. What's next? Love Island, Big Brother.
Oh, hell. Oh, hell no.
No, hell no.
I ain't going to fight over no man. If no man don't want this, then I don't want that.
Yeah, that's
So,
exactly right.
Hell no. I would never do anything like Maths or Love Island. Like, it's funny to watch and stuff at times, but I could never see myself being that person. Yeah.
What's that show? You're Fired. You know, the Channel 10, it's I can't remember the show, but anyway.
That one, that one.
So let's talk about, obviously, work. You know, you obviously are a jack of all trades. What do you do for work?
So I'm an Aboriginal consultant in child protection.
Yep.
So my role is to consult with all caseworkers that work with Aboriginal families, and we deal with families from Dundas, Cumberland area to Lithgow. So we actually cover a wide space of area, and so we have the capacity of working with 555 families, and I think we've got 420 something at the moment, and 30 something % are Aboriginal. So so my role is to consult with caseworkers. I do home visits with families as well to ensure that, caseworkers are culturally appropriately, working with the family and supporting the family, and just that caseworkers are aware of, what things to be considerate of or be aware of from a cultural perspective.
Yeah. So you're an Aboriginal consultant. Now, have you found throughout your career, throughout your life, you've had to deal with much racism?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've seen it. I've experienced it. I experienced it all through high school. Literally, not even being over dramatic, literally from day one.
Yeah.
And I think for me, like, it was really hard because it was like we were also dealing with the passing of my sister. So I went to school, I think around maybe March.
Yep.
So I came to school really late compared to everyone. So everyone had their friendships. I went to a school nervous as a wreck, not knowing anyone. And day one, like, faced that, and I was like,
what got you through the racism? Or what helps you when you still deal with it to this day?
I think, well, for me, the way I got through it was just having to finish school for mum. Yeah. I always had mum on my back. I had my siblings on my back about going to school, completing school, and they didn't know that I was actually going through all this because we were going through, such a big challenge at that stage as a family, and I didn't want to put that on my family. Yeah. So for me, it was like, I want to go to school because my parents want me to go to school, and I need to go to school. And I knew my brother and sister didn't graduate year 12, so I was like, I want to be the first to graduate year 12. So, and I want to do it for my mum because, like, my mum was, the person that I wanted to do everything for. So for me, it was just like, just go to school and do what you got to do. And athletics, like, I went there for athletic scholarship, so that was my outlet. Yeah. And I couldn't wait to get to, the periods of school where I'd actually be able to just train because I was away from those people.
Yeah.
But in class and obviously throughout lunch and recess time, it was very daunting for me, and I did not know how to deal with it. Didn't have people around me to know how to deal with it. Like, I would tell teachers and stuff around, like, what this person was saying and what these guys were saying, but it was like nothing was really done. So I was like, well, there's no point telling anyone, so just deal with it. So that's how I kind of got through it.
And regardless of the race, a lot of men and women obviously will be able to take a lot from this. What advice would you have to anyone that is suffering from racism?
Well, I think for me, like, now looking at it, like, back then, like, I absolutely, like, hated the person and hated going to school because of, it's a strong word. It is a very strong word, but the amount of, like, I guess, dreading that I had to go to school, it did not make my high school days fun at all, and I felt like I wasn't able to learn the way I needed to and wanted to because I was too worried about how am I going to actually just defend myself or, process what's actually going on or, dealing with my thoughts and feelings through school because it was very daunting.
Absolutely.
And I didn't know how to deal with it because no one at school actually helped me.
Well, they say tough times don't last, but tough people do.
Yeah.
What gets you through those tough times?
I think for me, like, my passion, my passion just to, do well. My mum's obviously my rock.
Yeah.
And everything that I do is for my family. And just, I think for me, like, I know that I can be great at things that I choose to do. And I know, you know, with the right people around you, and with the passion that you have, like you said, you know, tough moments don't last, tough people do. And it's like, you're all destined for your, you know, your own future, and
It's true.
you're in control of your own life, and you can choose who you allow in your circle. You can choose to allow, you know, what environments affect you. So for me, like, it's about knowing that you're in control of your own destiny, and it's up to you really how you choose to do life. And
I agree with you.
for me, it's knowing who's in my corner, who's not.
And you work that out as time goes on as well.
Yeah.
We speak about people in your corner. I know you're quite close with your family, and we speak about those tough times. You lost your sister to cancer. Tell us a little bit about that and how that affected you.
Yeah, so my sister had a heart attack. Yeah. So, that was really tough, I guess, because obviously I was 13 at the time, and I remember it clear as day. But yeah, it just happened very suddenly, because she was actually living in the country in Walgett, where all my family's from, but she actually came down to Sydney to see a specialist because she had liver problems. And I remember the day where me and Mum drove out of the driveway, and she was begging us to stay, but I wanted to go over to my friend's house, and I was like, no, Mum, like, let's go. And Mum took me over to my friend's house, and then all of a sudden, like, we're sitting at my auntie's house for not even 20 minutes, and then Mum goes running through the lounge room, and I was like, where are you going, you know, like, what's going on? And my auntie said, oh, just wait here. Anyways, I didn't know what was going on, but a couple of hours later, like, my auntie pulled me into the kitchen, and she told me, and she's like, oh, you know, Hinny's passed away. And I said, what? And she's like, oh, Hinny's passed away. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, yeah, Hinny's gone, bub. And I just remember just feeling numb.
Yeah.
I just felt so numb, and I was like, what? Like, what is happening? And and then I just remember, my cousin coming to my auntie's and just saying, you know, like, cousin, we're going to go see Hinny. And
how did that affect you after she passed away?
Oh, it was, it really affected our whole family really badly. And for me, because she was like the sibling that would fight for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was the one that, like, my brother and my other sisters, like, they would always pick on me and, like, just, you know, muck around and just tease me here and there. And she'd be like, no, leave her alone. No, you know, she'd be that sister to be like, no, leave her alone, you fellas. Like, let her go. Like, she's right, let her go. Like, she was always that protector.
Yeah.
And she, like I said, she moved away to the country and stuff. And one of my favourite memories was when she actually bought me 2 horses. Like, she actually gave me 2 horses that were living back in Walgett. And, and she could sing too. Oh, yeah, she could sing. And I can just, like, they were some of the memories that I remember, is just her walking around the house and just singing, and everyone just, like, shutting up because, you know, you just hear a voice of an angel. And then, she was just such a big loving person, big caring person, protective person.
Were you guys similar?
I think in terms of, like, how we joke around, like, she had a big sense of humour. She was very cheeky. She was very cheeky.
I want to say, I don't know, you probably won't be able to see this, but I got goosebumps. I really did when you were talking about her. And I'm a big believer in when someone passes away, they still live through those, obviously, that they love. Do you find that she still lives through you, and you still...
Yeah, I do, because I feel like I can sing. No, I'm kidding.
Go on then, kid.
Nah, but, like, I love to sing though. I love singing.
Yeah.
Not going to sing.
Yeah.
But I do love to sing.
I won't ask you to sing, but you reckon you can sing for us?
Oh, well.
But look, that's a big thing as well, you know, and you lost her at 13, but it wouldn't matter whether you lost her at 13, 20, 30. You can never tell someone how to deal with someone once they've lost them.
Yeah.
You know, and everyone, when they lose someone, reacts in their own way. Have you lost anyone else close to you since that? And what advice would you give to anyone out there? Because we all will. What advice could you give to someone when they do lose someone?
Yeah. I think my advice would be to speak about it to who you are comfortable with.
Yeah.
Don't bottle it up.
Yeah.
because it does eat you up and consumes your energy and your emotions. And, I didn't know how to deal with it
Yeah.
because my family dealt with it in their own way and everyone was dealing with it differently. And I want to say that it kind of like tore us apart in ways, but at times it brought us back together stronger.
Yeah.
Because everyone did know how to deal with it. And there was a point where, everyone was kind of blaming themselves and it would cause, problems between each other and even just in general, like everyone was very snappy because no one knew how to deal with it.
Yeah.
And no one was really seeking that, that help and that support. But when I did finally start to speak out, about it and, seek that support, just the relief that it felt, that I had felt like lifted off my shoulders just to say, how I felt. And then, having someone not truly understand, but, be able to empathise and say things to me that I actually didn't even think about that was going, because when you're in your own head and you're so cluttered with your own thoughts and your feelings and emotions, it can be very dark.
I can relate to that. I actually used to be someone that would bottle my emotions. That got me down the path of addiction, violence, substance drinking, gambling, the full kit and caboodle, because I used to have that mask. Are you someone that has a mask when you go through a tough time, or are you someone that has that confidence to be able to reach out?
I'd say back then I was the person with the mask.
Yeah.
I'd bottle everything up. And I think football was my outlet. Like when I got into footy, that was my outlet because it was like, that team environment, you're making friends, you're socialising with other people because I never really interacted with many people when that actually happened. So, and I was actually doing athletics as well.
Yeah.
So it would just be me and my coach at training. So I didn't really have friends to train with. It was just me and my coach. So, and my coach didn't know what I was going through. Like he actually didn't know about my sister's passing. He'd just, I'd just rock up to training and train. So the moment that I actually stepped in footy and had friends and, built those relationships and built that trust and knew who my people were, and then was able to start to express myself, then that's when I was like, it's a bit of a relief.
You notice how much it started to help you.
Yeah, and other people, had experienced similar things and they would share what would work for them, and it was like, well, I'm going to try that, or I'm going to go and try and speak to someone because you felt it worked for you, or, the understanding that other people have, strategies or, some other ways of, coping, different mechanisms or different, ways to deal with grief and loss. And now it's, I'm comfortable enough to go and speak to people that I'm comfortable with.
I love that. And I try to use my platform to try to encourage others to that as well. So for any men or women that are watching this, that might be going through a struggle at the moment, that might have that mask on like you did many years ago, what's some advice you could give to those people when they're struggling?
Yeah, look, I would say that, everyone struggles and we are human. Like we have, feelings, we have, tough times in life, but definitely go out there and, seek that support, connect with someone, reach out for help because there is people out there that can help, even if it's the littlest things as well, just in little ways, people can help in different ways. But I think for me, just go out there seeking that help, get that support. It's such a relief just to speak about it.
It really is.
Yeah,
the metaphor I use all the time is when you wash your hands, you don't wash your hands with one hand. You use two hands so you can do a good job. So for anyone that's struggling, don't try to wash your hand, with one hand and fight your own battles on your own because you've got friends, family or people out there that if you open up to talk to them, that can be their second hand to help you do that good job.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely people out there that care for people.
There is.
You definitely can't do it on your own. There's people out there that care and can help.
So changing the tune into obviously your future, what's some plans and what are your plans for what's ahead?
So I'm continuing to play with Para next year. Still working in child protection.
Yep.
I do want to eventually build my own foundation.
Yep.
Yeah.
What will that be?
Well, I want to do a city to country foundation where it's, where we're able to take a whole bunch of kids from city to the country to show them the lifestyle of the country, and then vice versa, kids from the country to know that, there's more than just what's in their little country town. There's opportunities out here. So I wanted to be able to build like a pathway where we can give the kids that experience and, you know, and show them that there's opportunity, and then show the kids down, you know, in the city that there's, you know, kids that are living different ways, and, you know, there's just more opportunities for the children that are living back in rural. So I've got a few ideas. I've got
I can
something
see the
like
brain
that.
ticking over now. I love it.
I also want to be able to build a pathway, you know, for children out in the rural area, you know, leading into career knockout. Like I've wanted to go and do like rural footy sessions, footy clinics with, you know, North Coast, Northeast, Northwest areas where, you know, there is a lot of untouched talent. Want to try and hold clinics and then try and get them, you know, into the career knockouts, or even in Queensland at the Murray Carnival.
Yeah, I love
get
that.
them involved in that. So then that way they're actually got eyes on them, and then hopefully bring them into a camp after that, and see if we can try and get them linked up with a Harvey Norman team, or potentially NRLW or Indigenous All-Stars. So
Well, the more support there is out there, you know, you can see for female sport in general, you know, just from the support, the more eyes on them, the more good role models that they're having, you know, and you're a great role model for all women, all young girls, anyone that's out there, you know, to see that you can achieve, obviously, whatever you put your mind to it. You know, you mentioned that you've signed with Parramatta next year. Is there any, you know, the only sport that I've heard you haven't played, any AFL chances or boxing? Would you get on a no limit card?
Oh, well, speaking of that, they actually asked me to go and do some fights for them.
That'll just about did you doing it. Would you do it?
Oh, this heavy hitter. You haven't seen these hands, Beery?
No, I believe you. Some people couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat. I reckon you
love
could.
boxing. I absolutely love boxing. I actually did some boxing in my off season, leading into pre-season, just to, you know, get the lungs ticking over, different fitness.
Yeah,
get the arms burning.
Well, who's someone you'd love to fight? It doesn't have to be in an angry way, but who's someone, if you were to call someone out, call them out. Who would you like to fight?
Whoever's ready.
Whoever's ready.
Yeah.
Give me a couple names. Give me a couple athletes. Give me an athlete.
Well,
Don't be shy. Give it a try. Come on down.
Well, I was actually meant to fight Hopoate's daughter.
Really? He was on here last week.
Huh?
John was on the podcast last week.
Really? Oh, well, apparently his daughter was going to get into boxing and stuff. So I was like, Hopoate's daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, starting with a bang. But
I'll tell you what, well, Georgie Rose, if you're watching this, mate, I'm going to make sure I send it to you. Let's get it sorted. And I reckon Hopper would be at home smiling, thinking he'd be pushing his daughter in it as well. So, oh, I love that. I love that. So, look, the last thing I want to finish on, you know, Mahalia, I have so much love and respect for you. You know, you're a beautiful person, both inside and out. What's some advice that you would give to your younger self?
To my younger self, that everything's going to be okay. You just got to have the right people around you. And not wanting to grow up too quick.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I really did not understand, is just, you know, I always wanted to grow older because I could see what my older siblings would you know, was able to do. And before I knew it, took a couple of blinks, and, you know, now it's like all past all those milestones, and now it's like it's been 3 decades. So
Time flies.
So you got to, you know, make the most of it while you can. Make the most of life. Take opportunities. Don't grow up too fast for yourself. Have fun.
When you say fun, a lot of young people think a way of fun is by going out and drinking. What would you say to those people that go down that path?
Look, I'm not a drinker, so I don't drink or smoke, so I don't know, you know, how it feels to go out and, you know, get drunk and do it often. But I've been around people that drink. Yes, it's fun, but there's so much more to life than drinking. There is so much more things to do in life that can bring you so much more joy than drinking. But yeah, I think just have fun, you know, be present and appreciate all the, you know, the good things that are around you.
I love that. You know, speaking of being present, thank you so much for being present today. You know, you're a great story, you know, and you're like Harry Potter. There's been many chapters. I reckon you'd have more pages than Harry Potter, your book would.
Oh, it'd take a while to read, that's for sure. whole lifetime.
But thank you so much for obviously letting the people at home, read, see, view some of your pages, because it really is a beautiful story, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Can you give me a quick...
Oh, wait. Let me try that again.
There you go again.
Got some moist loose.
Yeah, let it get him.
Wait, how do you do it? How do you do that?
We got it.
Well, I don't dry my lips for this.
You dry the lip. Go on, girl. Get it going. Yeah, you get it going. Here we go.
You know what's so funny
Yeah.
is I actually watch your videos and I do it at times.
Go on,
Like
give
just
us
that little-
one. Go on, you got one in you. Let's go.
Wait there. Whew.
Yeah. Nah, there's no real sweat patch. You good as gold.
Go
You got to
on.
do that. Because look, when it comes the moment, well, people don't know this. The momentum actually comes from the Warwick Farm, from the arm. So, I'm telling you. But listen, thank you so much again for coming on. What a beautiful story, guys. If you're not following Mahalia, please give her a follow. Show us some support, and thank you so much, obviously, for showing Life's a Fight some support. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you all again next week.